She was a defeated soldier in a space prison, but she rose to lead humanity in the war. In the endless void where stars whisper of forgotten wars, a single spark of defiance can shatter empires. But in the shadows of betrayal, humanity's unyielding fire burns brightest, turning captives into conquerors. Villar Reed gripped her pulse rifle, her calloused fingers steady on the trigger. She was a seasoned warrior of the United Earth Forces, her short-cropped black hair matted with sweat under her helmet, her tanned skin marked by old battle scars. She led her squad of 12 through the dim corridors of Epsilon Military Base, a fortified outpost on a barren asteroid. Enemy drones swarmed in, their plasma disruptors humming with lethal energy. They fired in unison, blue bolts scorching the air. Viler barked orders. Flank left, suppress those drones. Her team returned fire, lasers cracking against metallic hulls. But the drones pressed on, overwhelming their positions. One exploded nearby, shrapnel pinging off her exosuit. Retreat was the only option. Explosions rocked the base. Munitions detonated in chain reactions, filling corridors with acrid smoke. Laser fire crisscrossed like deadly webs. Viler activated her exosuit's emergency shield, a shimmering energy barrier deploying from her forearm module. It covered her squad's withdrawal, absorbing impacts that vibrated through her bones. "Move! Now!" They backed toward the evacuation bay. A high-velocity kinetic round screamed through the chaos. It pierced the shield's edge, slamming into her side. Pain exploded in her ribs. Darkness claimed her. Vilar awoke to a throbbing headache. Neural suppressants coursed through her veins, injected by automated medical drones that hovered like silent sentinels. She lay in a dimly lit holding cell aboard the Orion Space Prison, a colossal orbital facility circling a swirling gas giant 2.5 AU from its dim star. The air hummed with artificial gravity, cold and sterile. She tested her limbs, muscles aching but responsive. She scanned the cell. Reinforced alloy walls gleamed, designed to resist standard breaching tools like thermal lances or acid packs. Surveillance orbs floated near the ceiling, their infrared sensors sweeping in rhythmic patterns, red lights pulsing. The door was a force field, a translucent barrier calibrated to repel any unauthorized touch with electric shocks. No windows, just the faint vibration of the prison's engines. Viler pushed to her feet, ignoring the dizziness. Escape started with knowledge. The force field deactivated briefly. Guards shoved her into a communal detention block, a vast chamber with rows of cells and a central yard under harsh lights. Her squad was there, clustered in a corner. She organized a head count. 10 present, 2 missing. Their tactical gear was gone, replaced by basic prisoner jumpsuits, thin fabric without armor or pockets. No enhancements, no hidden tools. "Status," she whispered. Bruises marked their faces, but eyes burned with resolve. Enemy guards approached, equipped with stun batons, crackling blue and holographic translators projecting demands in sterile voices. "Reveal Earth Force deployments, coordinates, fleet sizes." Viler stepped forward, her voice steady. "We reveal nothing." She argued defiantly, probing their reactions. One guard shifted impatiently, revealing a gap in patrol patterns every 15 minutes. She bought time, noting holstered sidearms and comm devices. Forced labor came next. In the prison's zero-gravity maintenance bays, they repaired hull panels under guard supervision. Tools floated if not tethered. Viler tightened a bolt, ears straining. Guards muttered nearby. The high-value asset is secure. Extraction soon. Her suspicion ignited. A traitor among them? Who could it be? Meal distribution followed in a grim cafeteria line. Gray nutrient paste slopped onto trays. Viler leaned close to Jax Harlan, a lanky squad member with pale skin and sharp eyes, his demeanor too calm. "You knew their tactics back at Epsilon." "How?" she whispered. Jax deflected. Strategic patience, Viler. Panic loses wars. His eyes flicked away. The argument simmered, unresolved. An alarm blared. A minor riot erupted in the adjacent cell block, shouts echoing through vents. Prisoners clashed with guards, batons swinging. Viler seized the moment. She had smuggled a small tool from maintenance, a jagged metal shard. She jammed it into a power conduit. Sparks flew, lights flickering. Guards rushed in, response time under 30 seconds. She noted their formation, vulnerabilities in the rush. The day ended without rest. Back in the cell, Viler lay on the hard bunk, piecing together fragments of overheard conversations as the prison's hum vibrated through the walls. The mention of a high-value asset gnawed at Jax's unnatural calm fueling her growing unease. Team loyalty, once as solid as the alloy around her, now showed faint cracks under the relentless pressure of captivity. Her initial naivety about unwavering bonds began to erode, replaced by a sharpening vigilance that kept sleep at bay. As her mind raced toward the threats of dawn, the vast void outside the prison seemed to echo the deepening shadows of doubt within her own ranks. The Orion Space Prison's hum grew oppressive, its cold alloy walls pressing in as dawn broke with a harsh clang. Enemy enforcers stormed the detention block, their powered armor shimmering with integrated cloaking fields, rendering them near invisible until they struck. Viler Reed, her muscles still aching from neural suppressants, was yanked from her bunk. The squad of 10 was separated, dragged through dim corridors to interrogation chambers. These enforcers, clad in sleek suits with glowing visors, wielded stun batons that crackled with blue arcs. Their movements were precise, mechanical, a stark contrast to the chaos of Epsilon's fall. Viler's sharp eyes caught the glint of their comm units, noting their reliance on synchronized commands. Strapped to a chair in a sterile chamber, Viler faced a truth serum injector. The needle hissed, pumping chemicals designed to break human biological resistance. She clenched her jaw, drawing on Earth Force mental conditioning. Silent mantras looped in her mind, blocking the serum's fog. Deployments? Scattered, she muttered, feigning compliance. Her eyes darted, memorizing the room's layout. Hidden access panels behind false plates, a potential escape route if she could reach them. The interrogator, a faceless officer behind a holographic screen, pressed for fleet coordinates. She gave vague answers, buying time. Each second burned details into her memory, panel seams, camera blind spots. Reunited briefly in the detention block, the squad huddled in a corner, voices low. Viler proposed a bold plan: hack the prison's AI core to cripple its systems. "We overload it from a terminal," she whispered, her scarred hands gesturing urgency. Arguments flared. "Too risky," snapped one soldier, sweat beading on his brow. Jax Harlan, his pale face unreadable, pushed for caution. "Rushing invites death. We wait for an opening." His words, smooth and measured, deepened Viler's suspicion. Why always delay? The group's whispers grew heated, trust fraying under the weight of captivity. Forced into a simulated combat drill, prisoners were herded into a padded arena. The guards tested endurance, pitting them against training drones with predictive algorithms. Viler gripped a sharpened piece of debris, its edge honed from scrap metal. She dodged a drone's laser pulse, her body low, then thrust the makeshift weapon into its sensor core. Sparks erupted, the drone crashing. Her tactics, feints, and unpredictable strikes outwitted the machine's logic. But her eyes caught Jax, standing at the arena's edge, his subtle hand signals mirroring guard movements. Her gut twisted. Betrayal confirmed. She needed proof. In a hushed moment after the drill, Viler pulled Lena Voss aside, the wiry engineer's freckled face set with determination. "Jax is signaling them," Viler murmured. "Watch him. We set up surveillance." Lena's nod was firm, her fingers already twitching for tools. They needed to act fast before Jax's actions doomed them all. The prison scrapyard offered its next move. Discarded circuits and wires piled high under flickering lights. Viler's squad scavenged, hands sorting through rusted components. They assembled a makeshift jammer, a palm-sized device to disrupt the prison's 200-plus surveillance orbs. Timing was critical. One mistimed pulse could trigger alarms. Lena soldered a final connection, her focus unwavering. Viler guarded the group, her eyes scanning for patrols, her pulse rifle long gone, but her instincts razor-sharp. Tension spiked as neurodisruptor gas flooded the vents, a response to a failed uprising in another wing. The mist stung eyes, numbed nerves. Viler's team pressed wet cloths to their faces, makeshift filters against the haze. Arguments broke out, voices hoarse. "Join the uprising?" one soldier urged, desperation in his tone. Viler shook her head. "No, we stick to our plan." Her words cut through the haze, firm but strained. The gas cleared, but the air remained heavy with distrust. In the exercise yard, under the glare of floodlights, Viler cornered Jax. "Your story about Epsilon doesn't hold," she said, her voice low, probing. "You knew their drone patterns." Jax's sharp eyes narrowed. "I was covering the rear. You're seeing ghosts, Viler." His deflections were smooth, but inconsistencies piled up. His account of the base's fall didn't match the squad's logs. She pressed harder, verbal tactics sharp as any blade, but stopped short of alerting others. Proof first, then action. Patrols intensified. 50 additional guards poured in from a docked transport vessel, their boots echoing through the prison's corridors. Viler's squad formed a tense pact to root out the traitor. Tasks were divided. Lena mapped ventilation shafts, their 0.8-meter width just crawlable, while others scouted guard rotations. Viler took point, her resolve hardening. The prison's relentless rhythm offered no rest, only a grind of suspicion and survival. As the day closed, Viler sat against the cell's cold wall, exhaustion clawing at her. The fragments of Jax's behavior, his calm, his signals, his deflections, wove a damning pattern. Her initial trust in her squad, once unshakable, had crumbled under the prison's unyielding pressure. Yet from that erosion, a new strength emerged. She wasn't the naive commander who'd led at Epsilon, blind to betrayal. Bravery stirred, a quiet fire in her chest. She would expose Jax, no matter the cost. The prison's hum faded to a distant drone as her mind sharpened, plotting the next move in a game where trust was a luxury she could no longer afford. The Orion Space Prison's corridors echoed with the clank of boots as Viler Reed orchestrated a risky alliance. She approached a group of 15 prisoners from the fallen Vega colony, their lean frames and quick eyes marking them as cyber warfare experts. Their leader, a wiry man named Jack, offered a hidden toolkit, data spikes, and a decryptor in exchange for Viler's intel on guard shift patterns. She agreed, her voice steady despite the gamble. The deal was struck in a shadowed corner of the detention block, where flickering lights cast jagged patterns on the alloy walls. Trust was fragile, but necessity demanded cooperation. Back with her squad, debates raged in hushed tones. Viler pushed for shared tactics, synchronized diversions to exploit the prison's weaknesses. "We hit them together, create chaos," she urged, her scarred hands gesturing sharply. Skeptics in her team bristled. "More allies, more traitors," muttered one, eyes darting to the Vega group. The air grew thick with doubt, but Viler held firm, her gaze locking on each soldier. They couldn't afford to fracture now, not with Jax Harlan's betrayal looming like a specter. A stolen datapad became their edge. Lena Voss, her freckled fingers deft, hacked into the prison's secondary systems. Lights in a restricted sector flickered out, plunging corridors into darkness. The combined group moved, probing areas housing advanced weaponry prototypes. Sleek rifles with glowing cores lined the racks, their designs alien yet deadly. Vyler memorized their layout, imagining their weight in her hands. The shadows cloaked their steps, but the prison's hum seemed to pulse with warning. Combat erupted when guards detected the breach. Alarms screamed, red lights flashing. Vyler led the skirmish, wielding a captured stun rifle modified for lethal output. Its bolts seared through armor joints in the narrow 10-meter-wide corridors. Her team flanked left, Vega allies right, their movements a chaotic ballet of precision. A guard lunged, baton raised. Vyler sidestepped, slamming the rifle's butt into his visor. He crumpled. But Jax hesitated, his shot delayed just long enough for an enemy to nearly overrun their position. Her eyes narrowed, fury rising. Post-battle, the argument was immediate. Vyler rounded on Jax in the dim corridor, her voice a low growl. "You held back. Why?" His sharp eyes flickered, deflecting. Timing was off. It happens. The lie hung heavy, straining the fragile alliance. Vega prisoners watched, their expressions unreadable. Vyler's squad muttered, trust eroding further. She forced calm, but her fists clenched, nails biting into palms. They retreated to a fortified maintenance hub, its walls lined with tools and spare parts. Scavenged med kits designed for extended human lifespans in space, sealed wounds with biogel. Vyler patched a gash on her arm, the sting grounding her. Planning resumed, voices tense. They needed to move faster, strike harder. The hub's dim glow reflected off Lena's datapad as she sketched escape routes, her focus a quiet anchor amid the storm. Villar negotiated with the Vega group, trading Earth Force encryption codes for their anti-gravity tech expertise. Jack demonstrated a device that could disrupt local gravity fields, a tactical edge for their next move. The bond solidified, though distrust lingered like static in the air. Vyler sensed eyes on her. Vega's, her squad's, maybe Jax's. Every step felt like a test. A surprise inspection hit without warning. Enemy officers in command suits, their energy blades humming with lethal light, stormed the hub. Vyler reacted instantly, diving behind a console. She spotted exposed wiring, its insulation frayed. Grabbing a loose cable, she sparked it against a metal panel. Electricity arced, catching an officer's suit. He convulsed, blade dropping. Her team followed, using improvised weapons, pipes, and shards to fend off the rest. The air smelled of ozone and burnt circuits. After the clash, evidence against Jax mounted. Lena intercepted a message fragment on the datapad, its encrypted text referencing a conspiracy spanning 3 major space empires. Jax's name appeared, coded but clear. Vyler's stomach churned. The traitor was no longer a suspicion, but a certainty. Arguments flared in the hub, voices sharp. "We end him now," one soldier hissed. Vyler raised a hand. "Not yet. Proof first, then justice." Her words steadied them, but the weight of betrayal pressed harder. No pause came. Vyler pushed the group toward bolder action, taking point in a scouting mission through the prison's lower levels. Her boots echoed on the grated floors, each step shedding doubts about her team's integrity. The Vega allies followed, their tools clinking softly. Jax trailed, watched by Lena's sharp eyes. Vyler's bravery grew, a steel core forming where naivety once stood. The prison's relentless rhythm offered no rest, only a crucible for her resolve. As they moved through the shadows, the hum of the gas giant outside seemed to pulse in time with her racing heart, urging her toward the next fight. In the dim glow of the maintenance hub, Vyler Reed and her fractured alliance compiled their escape plan. The prison's docking bay, home to 8 sleek shuttlecraft with reinforced hulls and fusion drives, became the target. Synchronized hacks on the security protocols, layered with quantum encryption that shifted like digital shadows, would unlock the bay doors. Vyler sketched the timeline on a scavenged datapad, her calloused fingers tracing lines of attack. The Vega group nodded, their cyber tools humming faintly. Jax Harlan watched from his restraints, his sharp eyes betraying nothing. Time pressed like the prison's artificial gravity, unyielding and constant. Villar assigned roles based on strengths. She took frontline assault, her scarred frame suited for the charge. Lena Voss handled tech overrides, her engineering mind perfect for bypassing firewalls. The Vega allies, led by Jack, prepared diversionary explosions using volatile chemicals smuggled from the lab wing, compounds that could ignite in zero gravity with devastating force. "We hit hard, no hesitation," Villar said, her voice cutting through the murmurs. The plan solidified, but doubt lingered in the air like static discharge. Heated arguments erupted over the risks. Jax, his voice muffled by restraints, suggested alternatives, routes through less guarded vents that Villar saw as traps. "Safer path," he insisted. She countered sharply. "Your safe paths lead to ambush. You're isolated for a reason." The Vega group shifted uneasily, their leader Jack questioning Jax's motives. Tensions boiled, but Villar enforced discipline, binding him tighter under guard. No room for sabotage in this crucible. Scavenging intensified in the prison's underbelly. The group assembled weapons from scattered parts. Plasma cutters jury-rigged into rifles with extended barrels for precision shots. Hull plating forged into shields capable of withstanding 500 joules of kinetic impact. Villar tested a prototype, slamming it against a bulkhead. The clang echoed, but the shield held. Lena calibrated the rifle's power cells, ensuring each burst could punch through guard armor. The work was relentless, hands blistering under the dim lights. But every piece bolstered their edge. Training sessions unfolded in hidden alcoves, simulating zero-gravity combat. Villar demonstrated momentum-based grapples, using the prison's artificial gravity fluctuations to her advantage, sudden shifts that could send foes tumbling. "Exploit the pull," she instructed, launching a mock attack on a Vega ally. They practiced in pairs, bodies twisting in low G, focusing on tactics like tethered strikes to maintain control. Sweat beaded and floated away, the group's breath coming in sharp bursts. Jax observed from the shadows, his presence a constant reminder of betrayal. During a quiet lull, Villar uncovered a data cache hidden in a console. Its files revealed Jax's communications with enemy high command, encrypted logs detailing a plot to undermine Earth forces across 12 star systems, feeding intel on weak points and supply lines. Proof at last. She confronted him in the alcove, thrusting the data pad forward. "This ends your game." Jax lunged despite restraints, a physical scuffle erupting, fists glancing off her exosuit remnants. She subdued him with a chokehold, her team rushing in. Restrained again, the decision loomed. Execute or use as bait. Villar chose bait, her voice cold. "You'll draw them out." The group tested components with a minor sabotage. They rigged the food replicators in the cafeteria to overload, spewing sparks and drawing guards away. Response time clocked at 45 seconds. Reinforcements poured in, batons raised. Villar watched from a vent, noting formations and weak flanks. The diversion worked, confirming their timing. Back in the hub, adjustments followed, the plan sharpening like a blade. Alliances strained further. The Vega prisoners demanded more control, Jack arguing for command of the lead shuttle. "Our tech, our pilots," he pressed. Villar mediated, her tone diplomatic but firm. She conceded shared command, trading it for extra explosives. The compromise held, but eyes darted suspiciously. Trust was a thin wire, ready to snap under pressure. Preparations finalized without a single break. Villar moved from group to group, overseeing assemblies and drills, her body aching but mind-focused. The prison's hum blended with the clatter of tools, a symphony of impending chaos. Her transformation deepened, embracing difficult choices that once would have paralyzed her. Pride in human resilience swelled, a quiet force amid the escalating threats. Jax's betrayal had forged her, turning doubt into determination. As the final pieces locked in, she gripped her improvised rifle, ready for the storm ahead. The docking bay waited, a gateway to freedom or death. The escape ignited with a surge of darkness. Viler Reed signaled the start, and Lena Voss triggered the coordinated blackout, crippling 40% of the Orion Space Prison's power grid. Lights died in cascading waves, alarms wailing as emergency reds flickered on. Chaos erupted in the central hub, where 100 guards converged, their powered armor clanking in confusion. Viler's team moved like shadows, the Vega allies at their side. No words needed, the plan was etched in every mind. Jax Harlan, bound and gagged as bait, was dragged along, his struggles muffled. The prison's hum stuttered, artificial gravity flickering briefly, sending tools floating. Viler led the assault team through the ventilation ducts, their 0.8-meter width forcing a tight crawl. Metal scraped against her jumpsuit, elbows propelling her forward. They emerged in a side corridor, suppressed firearms, scavenged rifles with muffled barrels ready. Close quarters combat unfolded in silence. She sighted a guard, his stun baton raised, and fired a silenced round into his neck joint. He dropped without a sound. Her squad followed, prioritizing takedowns. Headshots, chokeholds, quick and clean to maintain stealth. The air thickened with the scent of ozone from discharged weapons. Mid-operation, arguments flared when Jax broke free. His restraint snapped, sabotage or luck, and he bolted toward a console. "Stop him!" Viler hissed over comms, diverting 2 soldiers for recapture. Punches landed, Jax's sharp eyes wild as they wrestled him down. The Vega group pushed ahead to the shuttles, Jax's voice crackling. "We can't wait." Viler nodded grimly, reallocating her flank. The delay cost seconds, guards closing in. She fired covering bursts, bolts ricocheting off walls. Hacked drones, reprogrammed by Lena earlier, buzzed into action as reinforcements arrived. The machines provided allied support, their guns spitting fire at 20 rounds per second. Viler directed them via a wrist pad, targeting clusters of guards. One drone exploded under return fire, shrapnel peppering the corridor. Her team advanced, using the mechanical distraction to gain ground. "Push through," she ordered, her voice steady amid the roar. In the docking bay, vast and echoing with the hum of idling engines, Viler piloted a manual override on a shuttle's locks. Her fingers flew over the panel, bypassing fail-safes with a spliced cable. Lena's voice argued tactics over comms. "Bank left, missile locks incoming." Automated turrets swiveled, red targeting lasers painting the hulls. Viler evaded, juking the shuttle's controls remotely while her body dodged physical threats. A turret fired, the missile streaking past with a whoosh. Combat intensified as guards deployed mechanized exosuits, hulking frames with railguns mounted on arms. The weapons thrummed, projectiles cracking the air at supersonic speeds. Viler's team countered with EMP grenades, crafted from scavenged capacitors and wiring. She hurled one, the device arcing toward an exosuit. It detonated in a blue flash, circuits frying, the suit locking up mid-stride. Guards inside panicked, visors fogging. Her squad pressed the advantage, rifles barking in controlled bursts. Jax revealed his full allegiance then, twisting free once more to activate a hidden beacon. A subdermal implant glowed under his skin, summoning an enemy frigate from nearby orbit, just 0.1 AU distant. Alarms escalated, the prison shuddering as docking protocols engaged. "Traitor confirmed," Viler spat, tackling him. Urgency accelerated. Evacuation now or never. She bound him tighter, deciding his fate in a heartbeat. Vilar made the split-second call. Abandon non-essential gear. Backpacks and extra tools clattered to the deck, lightening their load. Focus shifted to evacuating 25 survivors aboard 2 shuttles amid crossfire. Bolts zipped past, one grazing her shoulder with searing heat. She shoved allies aboard, covering the ramp with suppressive fire. Lena sealed the hatches, engines whining to life. Navigating the prison's defensive grid proved a gauntlet. Laser emplacements tracked them, beams lancing through space. The shuttles employed evasive maneuvers based on pre-scanned patterns, barrel rolls, and sharp dives to exploit blind spots. Vyler co-piloted one, her hands gripping controls slick with sweat. A laser grazed the hull, alarms blaring hull integrity warnings. "Hold steady," she commanded, weaving through the web of fire. They burst into open space, the gas giants swirling clouds receding behind. Pursuit ships launched, but the shuttle's fusion drives outpaced them, cloaking fields engaging for a final evasion. Vyler's doubt faded further, replaced by a burgeoning pride in their survival. The group had broken chains, setting course for a devastated city on a nearby planet. Nova Prime's ruins awaited, a new battlefield. No rest came, only the hum of engines and the weight of what lay ahead. Her transformation continued, bravery etched deeper with each escaped threat. The shuttle skimmed low over Nova Prime's scarred surface, engines throttling down as they touched the ruins. The city sprawled across 500 square kilometers, a labyrinth of crumbled towers and derelict military facilities, their skeletal frames twisted by orbital bombardments. Vyler Reed stepped out first, her boots crunching on shattered concrete dusted with fine regolith. The air hung heavy with metallic tang, wind whipping through gaping structures. Her group, 25 survivors, a mix of her squad and Vega allies, fanned out to scavenge supplies. Ration packs from abandoned bunkers, ammo crates hidden in collapsed hangars. They moved cautiously, evading patrols from the occupying force, whose hover drones scanned the skyline with piercing beams. Lena Voss rigged a jammer to mask their heat signatures, her freckled hands steady on the device. Jax Harlan, still bound and under guard, was hauled to a makeshift command post in a ruined barracks. Vyler recovered advanced neural probes from a nearby site, sleek devices with glowing interfaces, designed to interface with human neurology. She activated one, pressing its nodes to Jax's temples. His body arched as data streamed, memories, comms logs. "Talk," she demanded, her voice like forged steel. Jax resisted at first, but the probes broke through, uncovering a conspiracy. Corrupted officials across multiple empires had engineered the war, pitting forces against each other to consolidate power. His sharp eyes glazed over, confessions spilling, names, dates, hidden agendas aimed at igniting a galaxy-wide conflict. Vyler's fists clenched. This was bigger than one traitor. Tensions peaked as enemy hunters closed in. A squad of 20 elite trackers, clad in stealth suits that bent light around their forms, materialized from the shadows. Relentless skirmishes erupted through collapsed buildings, urban warfare tactics turning the ruins into a deadly maze. Vyler led a counter-ambush, using rubble for cover as she fired her improvised plasma rifle. Bolts sliced the air, one hunter dropping with a hiss of venting suit seals. Her team employed flanking maneuvers, grenades rolling under debris to flush out foes. Jack from Vega sniped from a fallen spire, his shots precise. But the hunters pressed, their cloaks flickering under sustained fire, forcing Vyler's group to leapfrog retreats amid crumbling walls. They formed a defensive perimeter around a cluster of research labs, salvaging automated turrets with rotary cannons and motion sensors. Vyler calibrated one, its barrels whirring to life. Debates ignited with her allies on the next step. To confront the true enemy, a shadow council pulling strings from key space stations. "We strike them directly," Vyler argued, her scarred face set in determination. Lena countered, "Too exposed." Jack nodded agreement, but Vyler's resolve won out. The perimeter held as patrols probed, turrets chattering in response, buying time for strategy. A massive assault wave shattered the brief lull. Enemy dropships roared overhead, deploying troops in armored waves, hundreds descending on rappels with laser carbines. Viler coordinated counterattacks, lobbing precision grenades that detonated in mid-air clusters, shrapnel tearing through ranks. From elevated positions on ruined rooftops, her snipers picked off officers, scopes glinting in the dim light. "Hold the line," she shouted over comms, directing fire teams to choke points. Explosions rocked the ground, dust clouds billowing as a drop ship crashed, its wreckage providing new cover. The enemy pushed relentlessly, but human tactics, adaptive, brutal, turned the tide, foes falling in heaps. Amid the chaos, Viler pieced together the war's purpose from intercepted data bursts. Monopolize rare antimatter resources in 7 border systems, fueling endless conflict for profit. Rage surged through her. She rallied the group in a battered lab, her voice cutting through the din. "This ends with us. We hit their floating station. It's got the core data." Eyes met hers, nods rippling. They prepped the remaining shuttle, engines humming back to life. Jax, silent in his bonds, became a pawn in the plan. Infiltrating the station via a shuttle breach, they punched through the hull with cutting torches. Combat raged in zero-gravity halls, bodies floating amid sparks. Viler wielded a captured energy sword, its blade humming blue as she dueled armored foes in hand-to-hand. She twisted mid-air, slashing through a guard's suit joint, venting atmosphere in a silent scream. Her team followed, grapples anchoring them as rifles barked. Jack hacked door controls, Lena covering with EMP bursts that shorted enemy shields. The halls echoed with clashes, weightless blood globules drifting like crimson stars. Arguments erupted over sacrificing Jax for a diversion. "He's bait. Send him out," Jack insisted. Viler paused, moral weight heavy. But she accepted, shoving Jax toward a side hatch with a rigged explosive. "Your betrayal ends here." His pleas fell silent as the door sealed, the blast drawing guards away. The decision marked her shift, from naivety to resolute bravery, no longer hesitating in the face of dilemmas. Humanity's edge lay in such choices, cold and necessary. Hacking the station's core revealed the full extent. A planned false flag operation to blame Earth forces, involving fleets numbering in the hundreds, staged attacks to justify escalation. Data flooded screens, timelines, ship manifests, and council names. Viler downloaded it all, her fingers flying. Alarms blared, reinforcements swarming through vents like insects. Villar's team fought a desperate retreat, rifles covering hatches as they backpedaled to the shuttle. Bolts crisscrossed, one grazing her leg with burning pain. She returned fire, pride in humanity's tenacity surging, outmatched yet unbreaking amid the nonstop onslaught. They sealed the breach, engines firing as the station receded. Data secured, the real war began. No breath for relief, only the void ahead, pulsing with promise and peril. With the damning data clutched in encrypted drives, Vilar Reed initiated the broadcast from the station's comm array. Evidence of the conspiracy flooded Allied networks across 15 star systems, logs of false flags, council bribes, and engineered skirmishes. Uprisings sparked like chain reactions. Earth Force remnants mobilized, Vega holdouts rose, neutral colonies declared defiance. But the Shadow Council retaliated swiftly. Enemy forces launched a full-scale counteroffensive, fleets converging from hidden bases with cruisers bristling in formation. Alarms blared on Viler's shuttle as interceptors closed in. "They know we're the spark," she muttered, gripping the controls. The void ignited with laser fire, the real turning tide beginning in a blaze of pursuit. Vilar assumed command of a hastily assembled fleet. 10 rebel vessels scavenged from Nova Prime's ruins and Allied caches, nimble corvettes, a bulky freighter retrofitted with cannons, sleek Vega interceptors. She led from the bridge of the lead ship, a battered destroyer with reinforced plating. Space dogfights erupted as enemy cruisers, their shield generators humming blue auras, bore down. Viler employed advanced maneuvers, corkscrew rolls to outflank, using asteroid debris for cover. "Torpedoes on my mark," she ordered, her voice cutting through static. A cruiser loomed, its turrets tracking. Her fleet darted through its blind spots, exploiting gaps in the shield's recharge cycles. Explosions bloomed silently in the vacuum, hull fragments spinning away. On board the lead ship, arguments flared with Vega commanders. Jack paced the bridge, his wiry frame tense. "Your protocols are outdated. Let us handle navigation." Viler stood firm, her scarred hands on the tactical display. "Unified command or we fracture." Debates raged over firing sequences, but resolved in compromise. Vega handled electronic warfare, jamming enemy sensors, while her squad focused on weak points, hull seams vulnerable to torpedo volleys. "Target the ventral joints," she directed, sinking the fleet's HUDs. The resolution forged a sharper edge, tactics blending human grit with Vega precision. A volley launched, torpedoes streaking like comets, breaching a cruiser's defenses in a fiery rupture. Ground assaults followed the orbital victory. Viler's squad dropped into a key research base on a fortified moon, defended by 300 troops in entrenched positions, bunkers with auto turrets, and patrols sweeping the cratered terrain. They used cloaking tech salvaged from the station, fields bending light around their exosuits for infiltration. Pods slammed into the surface, dust pluming. Viler led the stealth advance, her rifle silenced, picking off sentries with headshots. "Flank the perimeter," she whispered over comms. The base's labs glowed with antimatter containment fields, the prize within. Enemies swarmed, but the cloaks held, allowing her team to slip through wire fences and minefields undetected. Intense battles unfolded inside the base. Heavy weaponry dominated, railguns mounted on tripods fired at hypersonic speeds, projectiles punching through walls with sonic booms. Drones swarmed in tight formations, their lasers weaving deadly patterns. Viler directed fire teams to capture control points, generator rooms, and armories. Her commands were sharp. "Suppress that nest," she barked, unleashing a grenade launcher that scattered drone fragments. Lena Voss hacked a turret, turning it on the enemy, its cannons chattering. Troops charged, armor clanking. Viler's squad met them with coordinated bursts, using cover from lab equipment. Blood and sparks mixed in the confined spaces, the air acrid with burnt propellant. Deeper in, Viler faced the conspiracy's leader in the command center, a towering figure in augmented armor, holographic displays flickering around him. "You expose nothing," he sneered, plasma blasts erupting from his gauntlets. Viler dodged, rolling behind a console as bolts scorched the deck. She exploited environmental tech, gravity manipulators lining the walls. Activating one with a quick hack, she inverted local fields, sending the leader tumbling upward. He fired wildly, plasma grazing her arm. Viler countered with her energy sword, leaping in low G to slash at his joints. The duel climaxed in a frenzy, blades clashing, sparks flying, until she pierced his core, his suit venting in a final gasp. Victory, but at what cost? Sacrifices mounted as the base's defenses rallied. Allies fell to covering fire. A Vega fighter shredded by railgun rounds, shielding Lena. One of Viler's soldiers vaporized in a plasma trap during retreat. Heart-wrenching decisions piled on. Leave the wounded or risk all? Viler chose to drag a fallen comrade, barking orders through gritted teeth. "We don't leave ours." Each loss cemented her development, transforming her into a symbol of human pride and courage. No longer the naive warrior from Epsilon, she embodied unbreakable will, her choices forging legends amid the carnage. Coordinating a multi-pronged attack, The group struck the enemy's central AI hub at the base's core. Fire teams converged, one disabling power relays with EMPs, another breaching vaults with cutting torches. Weiler oversaw from a vantage, directing via HUD overlays. The hub, a massive neural network of glowing nodes, fell under synchronized strikes, circuits frying in overloads. Communications were disrupted across their network of 50 stations, enemy coordinates scrambling into static, fleets faltered, uprisings gaining ground. The Council's grip slipped, their false war unraveling. As the battle raged without quarter, Weiler uncovered the final truth in the hub's archives. The war engineered to cull populations exceeding 10 billion in core colonies, a genocidal reset masked as conflict. Horror fueled her resolve, a burning core against the void's chill. They die for this, she vowed, rallying her battered forces. Emerging victorious but battered, suits torn, wounds bandaged hastily, the peak of tension was shattered with the enemy's retreat. Drop ships fled, leaving smoking ruins. Just when annihilation seemed certain, human ingenuity reversed it all. Cloaks piercing defenses, tactics outwitting numbers, sheer tenacity breaking the unbreakable. The Council's forces scattered, uprisings swelling. Weiler stood amid the debris, pride surging, humanity, the apex predator, turning the tide against cosmic odds. The broader reversal beckoned, a new war on the horizon, but for a fleeting moment, relief washed over the survivors. Yet no rest. The fight endured. The moon's research base smoldered in the aftermath, craters pockmarked with debris from the retreated enemy dropships. Weiler Reed and her survivors regrouped on a secure space station orbiting a neutral world, its domed habitats gleaming under starlight. The station's command deck buzzed with activity, consoles flickering with incoming reports from the uprisings. Weiler assessed losses, ships scarred, allies fewer, but the data broadcast had ignited a firestorm across the empires. She stood at a viewport, gazing at the void where enemy fleets once loomed unchallenged. The Council's remnants scattered, but threats lingered like echoes of plasma fire. Planning resumed immediately, her voice directing scans for hidden outposts. No victory parade, only the grind of preparation. Broadcasting victory messages became their next weapon. Weiler recorded from the bridge, emphasizing tactical lessons learned, how cloaking fields pierce superior defenses, how human adaptability outmatched rigid AI protocols. We turn their own tech against them, she said. Her words transmitted to resistance movements on fractured worlds. Alliances fostered across empires. Vega holdouts pledged ships. Earth remnants shared encryption keys. The messages rallied colonies exceeding billions, turning despair into coordinated strikes. Weiler's scarred hands gripped the console, her resolve a beacon in the transmissions. Debates shifted to reconstruction amid the hum of repair drones. Weiler advocated for unified defenses, incorporating captured tech like enhanced exosuits with adaptive plating and neural interfaces. We build stronger, integrate their antimatter drives into our fighters, she argued in a strategy session. Jack from Vega nodded, but tension simmered, old rivalries bubbling. Lena Voss, ever the engineer, sketched prototypes on a holographic display, her freckled face illuminated. The group hammered out plans, voices rising and falling, forging a new framework from the war's ashes. Honoring fallen comrades came in a brief ceremony in the station's atrium, a domed space with artificial stars twinkling overhead. Names were etched on a digital memorial, their sacrifices recounted in quiet tones. Weiler placed a hand on the panel, remembering those lost in the base assault, soldiers who covered retreats, Vega allies who fell to drone swarms. Solace bloomed in the hope they'd ignited, a fragile light against the void's chill. She spoke softly. They bought us this chance. The group stood in silence, the station's hum a somber backdrop. reflections deepening the bonds forged in fire. Scouting missions revealed lingering threats, but with reduced intensity, scattered patrols, not full assaults. This allowed strategic planning for strikes on remaining enemy outposts, cloaked probes mapping defenses, fire teams prepping insertion tactics. Veiler led a recon run herself, her shuttle slipping through asteroid fields to scan a council hideout. Data streamed back, weak points in shield grids, troop rotations. The missions offered breathing room, but vigilance remained absolute. In quieter moments, Veiler mentored recruits drawn from the uprisings. Young fighters from core colonies, their eyes wide with awe. She shared combat expertise in the station's sim chambers, zero-gravity grapples, railgun countermeasures, stories of resilience against overwhelming odds. Humanity thrives in the crush, she told them, demonstrating a feint that disarmed a holographic foe. Her pride in humanity's enduring spirit solidified, a far cry from the naive commander captured at Epsilon. Back then, she trusted blindly, led with untested faith. Now, battles had honed her into a warrior of unyielding courage, doubts replaced by pride in her species' apex tenacity. Amid the training, a subtle warmth grew with Lena, shared glances over schematics, and a hand on her shoulder during drills. Romance flickered, unspoken but steady, a human anchor in the chaos. Lena's quick smile eased the weight, their quiet conversations in the viewport lounge weaving personal threads into the war's fabric. A final skirmish tied up loose ends. Veiler led a precision strike using stealth shuttles, their cloaking fields humming as they approached a traitor hideout on a remote asteroid. The base, burrowed into rock with laser turrets guarding entrances, fell to coordinated breaches, EMPs disabling sensors, fire teams infiltrating vents. Veiler moved point, her energy sword ready, slashing through a guard's defenses in a swift duel. Captured data revealed the last council fragments, coordinates for a final purge. The hideout neutralized, explosions sealing tunnels behind them. As order began to restore across the systems, Veiler contemplated the ongoing war from the station's observation deck. Fleets realigned, empires teetering toward uneasy peace, but freedom demanded vigilance. Occasional sacrifices loomed, missions that might claim more lives, but she accepted them as the price of light over darkness. The group established a new command structure in the station's core hub, integrating biology-enhancing tech. Implants boosting soldier endurance for prolonged campaigns, nanites repairing wounds mid-battle. Veiler oversaw the rollout, her role evolving from captive to leader of a reborn alliance. In the quiet aftermath, Veiler stood resolute on the deck, the stars a canvas of flickering hope. Her journey from the doubt-ridden warrior awakening in a cell, naive to betrayal's sting, to this unbreakable force of pride and faith, felt complete. She turned to Lena, the station's hum fading. We've walked through shadows, sacrificed pieces of ourselves for this dawn. But in the heart of war's void, I see it now. Never lose faith in yourself, in humanity's fire. Sometimes you accept the losses to grasp true freedom, because hope endures, even in the darkest expanse. It's what makes us rise again and again. Her words echoed inwardly, a psychological anchor. The naivety shattered, replaced by a profound belief in resilience. The message etched in her soul as the universe stretched onward.